Life hands us a win with crochet projects. You and I need to chat about this. So, this morning, I officially won Yarn Chicken, and it was incredibly close. It was weird too, because this is a pattern that I've done many, many times. I knew the exact amount of yarn that I had. I knew how big it was going to be. Like everything was known. There was no unknown to me. It's a project that I set down, and that was my issue. I hadn't been working on it for a little bit. I just got distracted because we just came out of the gift giving season. This was the closest that I've ever had gifts almost not be finished. Like there was a couple of them that I was working on right before I handed it to that person. Normally, I wouldn't put so much pressure on myself with that. I'd be like, okay, well, I don't have it done the day before. That's fine. I'll take a picture and I will tell them, okay, this is what you're going to be gifted. I care about you. I want to give you this gift. I'm just going to be giving it to you later. I wasn't going to work with these gifts because they were winter gifts. So they were the hooded scarves, super, super cute. I ended up using the Muse 2320, the Frost collection, which means it's perfect for this time of year. If I would have waited any bit later, I don't really know when I was going to see these people next. So it could have been March, April, and nobody wants to wrap themselves in that when it's starting to get warmer. You know, we're like phasing out of that. I'm not saying that March is not cold where I'm at. It definitely is. And I am still always bundled up. We're just not as excited about that stuff. So it had to get done. I ended up making 3 of those very last minute, trying like down to the wire for the third one, which meant that this got put on hold for a little bit. I did watch Stranger Things. I don't want to do any spoilers because I feel like it's still so new out there. If you haven't watched it, I don't want to ruin that for you. Pumpkin emoji. Yes, no. Let me know what you thought about the end of Stranger Things as a whole. Overall, I had a good time with it. That's all I'm going to say. But anyway, so I was trying to do this, and this is the Muse 2320 Stranger Things inspired volume 1 box. So I'm not even on the second one. Like this one was supposed to get done during November into December. That was my intentions. And yeah, I just had to switch over at the end of November to making all my gifts. And I'm very happy that I did because the people that I gifted it to, they were super excited about it. And I think a picture just would not have been as exciting. So I'm glad that I switched over. But now back to things I make for myself. This is how much I had left over. Okay, so literally that tiny bit right there, which is wild. And I don't know why I wasn't keeping track. I think it was just that, okay, the last 3 hanks of yarn that I had, which were the 20 grams. So we have this color right here, which is the Eye of Vecna. So much fun to work up. It started with the black, the charcoal on the outside. And when we got to this part right here, it's like the red splattery. I just had so much fun with it. And then, I mean, there's just like a lot of things happening with this color. If this was something that was on Muse 2320 site permanently, I would make plans for many, many things. Probably even a blanket, if I'm gonna be honest. And then do this exact stitch, or maybe even a C to C, because then the colors would play out a little bit differently. We get a little more blend of the black to white to red back to the black yarn. But it doesn't matter because this was just a special edition from Muse 2320 celebrating the end of Stranger Things. So we got that one, and then these 3, they didn't have names. They were just 3 Stranger Things inspired colors, and I'm really glad that it was part of the box because I needed this extra length. I mean, I know it's not a lot extra, and it totally would have been fine with just this, but my intentions were obviously I can wear it as a scarf, so I'm gonna have to get a little brooch or something to put on here permanently. Sometimes I use my enamel pins and I'll just put them on here. I don't always like to secure it because I'll just do this and then throw a coat over. I'm totally fine with that, but I think I do want to, I don't know, I might have a couple of them that go with it. Really what I wanted it for was something to go over my head, and like when I have these giant clips in, or when I have my headphones on, instead of wearing a beanie or a hat or something, I wanted to be able to put this on, cover everything that needs to be covered, and then just like tie it. And we're gonna adjust a little bit there. Perfect. Okay. Back is pretty much covered. My neck is covered. Ears are covered. That is the main thing. I cannot stand when my ears are cold in the wintertime. But now I can layer too. So it's not like I need to be careful, I guess. I'm trying to like do the actual bow that I want to, but I do need to finish this one part. Oh, and I already did undo some of it. Okay, well, I'm gonna stop messing with it. I just need to finish it up officially, but I just put the last stitch in and needed to come down here to the yarn dungeon to celebrate with you and say, yay, I won Yarn Chicken. It doesn't happen often. I normally err on the side of too much yarn for whatever project I have, but this was a special box. I only had the yarn that I was working with, and I really wanted to make it so I got a full another row of this. Otherwise, if I wasn't going to make it, there was just going to be the one or two rows, I guess, right here. So it decreased. We had 1, 2, 4, and then it went down to 3 for the last hank of yarn. I would not have liked it as much if it was only 2. I guess it would have looked more like a border, but I just wanted all of the red possible because then I would have a little bit left over. Like, this is fine. I can't really do much with this, but if I would have had an entire row, then yeah, I would have figured something else out with it because that would be a lot of yarn and I didn't want to just let it sit here. Okay, and then here we go. Last one and we are finished. Okay, I'm gonna leave it alone. Not going to block this one. It just doesn't need it. Normally when I use hand-dyed yarn and it's a wearable, I will block it because I want it to keep its shape, like structure if I'm doing a cardigan or a sweater or something like that. But this is going to be washed so much, like constantly. I'm going to be wearing this all the time and it's going to get wet from the snow. It's going to it's just going to get used. So there's not going to be a limited amount of time that it's going to be actually hand washed. Since it is hand dyed and it's 100% superwash merino, I think is what it was. Honestly, now that I'm thinking about that, it might be nylon and superwash merino wool. But anyway, it needs to be hand wash, lay flat to dry. So I guess if it does get misshapen, I could always set it on some of my, like, I have these things. Click a bunch more of these together. It's just like a piece of foam. And then on the other side here is the little needles that you go ahead and hold on to the piece, reset the shape, and then everything will be fine. But really, I don't care so much. Like, it's a triangle, you know? It's a wrap. It's not going to change too much for how it is. There's no curling from the stitch that I use, so I'm pretty happy with it. We're calling it good, and now I can officially move on to volume 2 box. Now, this one has a ton of yarn in it, so I really had to sit down and think, okay, what do I want to do with it? Because since it was supposed to be a countdown, there are many different hanks of yarn, and then there's one full hank of yarn, which I already caked up this morning as a little boost for myself of like, hey, you can finish this. Let's get this one wrapped up so we can move on to this next box. So I don't have what it looked like as a hank, but I really love the color combination. It does scream Stranger Things to me. A little bit of, I don't know, it almost looks like caramel and some portions of really dark rust red throughout it. Very interested in how this is going to actually play out as a color. Since I just finished doing so many of them, I have a pattern in mind that I wrote down as I was working it up, and it was very easy. Basically, just 2 granny squares, seam them together, and then I thin scarf. So the ones I originally made to gift away, I made them a lot thicker, chunkier, cozier, but I was using worsted weight or DK weight yarn. This entire volume 2 box is all fingering weight yarn. So I don't even know if I'm going to have enough for this entire project, but if I don't, I do have more of Muse 2320 in general, so I could use something like Nevermore. It is a go-to color of mine. I always have this laying around, and it just has a little bit of the tweed in there, which I think would look really pretty with it. But I'm going to start off with the hopes that I have enough yarn in order to finish this project. But, you know, I'm just going to keep it open-ended. We're going to have fun with this one. I'm not gonna be quite as stressed as the other one. I know that seems crazy to say because it was a wrap. Essentially, just like a C to C stitch. That was it. It was supposed to be very relaxing for me. There were just so many other things going on that it ended up not being as relaxing as I wanted it to be. So hopefully now that I don't have anything else planned for the next couple of days, we can focus just on this. I'm going to be using the 4mm. I don't think I'm going to go any smaller than that. It worked perfect for this, so I'm just going to stick with it. And also, this is my matte crochet hook. It's so mesmerizing. The sound that it makes with the wool yarn is just super, super relaxing. Then we do have a sticker that it came with, the Stranger Things Volume 2, the countdown little postcard sticker. I have no idea where I'm going to put the sticker. I would love to put it on my water bottle, but I don't have any room for it. So I'm going to have to figure out where these go. They might actually go on my bulletin board. That's where I put the card from Volume 1, and the colors are perfect for the yarn dungeon. So I might just go ahead and put that up there. Maybe just a sticker too, since it's so big. I already opened number 1 too. I just want to see what was the theme, because I knew there was a little card that came with it, and each colorway was going to have a theme, and it's the characters of Stranger Things. Okay, so number 1, number 2. Ooh, we have a little blue. Oh no, am I missing the card? We have the gray, black, speckled. Number 3 definitely has a card. I feel that one in there. Ooh. Okay, this one is way too fun. Dustin. Ooh, I love this. Again, we have that like red speckle. Or this one's more of a splatter, really. Okay, probably my favorite so far. Number 4 is Lucas. Ooh, that green. Green, red, caramel, and brown is Max. Very fun, very poppy. Number 6 is, ooh, Erica. This neon pink is wild. Every one of these is totally the same. You just had to pick what you wanted for the box, even though each card has what it is on here. So like, I guess if I wanted to save these and use them for micro projects, I would remember what it is. 80% superwash merino wool and 20% nylon, and 20 grams for each of them. So this is a lot of yarn. Way too fun. Definitely screams 80s to me. Number 7. A little more pink. More of a pastel for Holly. Yeah, that definitely screams Holly. Number 8. Some blues for Nancy. Yeah, through and through, that is Nancy's color palette right there. A little bit of the pink, but it's more of a like pop of pink, and then it totally fades away. Steve. Ooh, what do we got for Steve? Love it. Oh, that blue. I just love the intensity that Muse 2320 does with whatever color. It doesn't matter. Like that blue, gray, a little bit of rust color on it too. Another bright color. Yeah, nice. Oh, Robin. Obviously, we had to have a Robin in here too. Obviously had to be 11. Like there was no other option for this colorway, right? I don't know. There isn't any single one of these that I didn't like, and I feel they pretty much personify that character in yarn form. All right, I need to take a second after a couple of days working on this to reassess where this pattern is going, because it's completely different than the other ones that I did, just from the fact that this is fingering weight yarn. The other ones were DK weight or worsted weight even. Obviously, that's going to change the entire structure of this pattern. And for whatever reason, even though I pulled out every single hank of yarn and I caked them all up, I saw it. I knew how much yarn was going to be available for this project. It's surprising me. Like I'm building up every row. I think I get about 4 4-ish rows for every cake of yarn, and that is just building up to be this dramatic piece, which I'm totally fine with, but it's gonna look completely different than what I had in mind. So let me show you real quick what I actually have so far. Also, I made it all the way to this one. That was my goal. I was like, okay, I want to see this one worked up. It just screams 80s mall to me. So I wanted to play around with that for a little bit. So far, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, working on my 6th cake of yarn. And there's 11 in total. So it's just supposed to be like, honestly, right here is pretty much where I stopped for the other one. Just a lightweight scarf that you can throw over, put underneath your coat. I like to layer everything, especially in the winter time, and then have a hood. Obviously, I haven't even gotten started on this one. I'm not worried about this at all. I was in the beginning. I was like, it's fingering weight yarn. I know I have a lot of yardage, but is it actually going to work? I'm not worried about this. The headpiece is going to be totally fine. It's the scarf that I really need to think about. I do love the colors though and how they're playing out. And it's just going to be such a nostalgic piece for me because of the fact that this is a Stranger Things inspired yarn, like every single one of them. Feeling that I'm going to reach for this quite often. And the stitch is perfect. I did just a granny stitch back and forth. I'm not going in the round, but just back and forth. I felt like that would be the best way to showcase every single color. Like they all have their moment. And even if it doesn't make it fully to the 4th row, because I think that's what it is. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So it's about 3 rows and 3/4. That is the last one, and then it switches over to the new color. But no matter what, you're really seeing all the colors. Loving how they're blending in together. Not blending, but they look like they belong together, obviously, because Muse 2320 is amazing at that and curates the boxes to go together for this exact reason. You know, you could use 20 grams of yarn for a single project, and I could have made like a little keychain. I thought about that last night as I was working this up. I was like, okay, I don't know if this is going to work the way that I want it to. I should have just done something for every single hank of yarn and like a small keychain to put on my bag, and then I can kind of cycle it out every day if I wanted to. But we're already here. Like this was so much work. Like I said, 2 full days of just working on this, and it's cozy, it's warm, and I do love wearable pieces. So we're sticking with this. But right here is about perfect. Like this is what I had in mind for the scarf, and then it stops, and then work on the head part. But I have all of this left, a lot. So now I need to decide, and I definitely want your help. Do I keep going this direction, put every single hank of yarn into the scarf, and just have it be dramatic? So it'll probably end up being a little over double of what I have right here. Do we think we should just keep going, dramatic scarf, and then a flowy headpiece on top? I'm really fine with that. I just needed to pause and consider, is this what I want to do? If I would have kept going, doubt would have crept in. And at one point, I might actually start pulling out some of the stitches. And we don't want to do that. I like the stitch. I like the pattern. I like the direction it's going. It's just going to be massive compared to what I originally wanted. So do we go that direction still? Or do I stop here after this one, have these characters, and then these ones make into something totally different? And see, even just saying it out loud, I don't love that idea. I want all the characters to be together. I want it to be this giant piece. Okay, so maybe that's my answer. I just needed to have a little chat with you of, is this the direction to go? Still let me know what you think. Thank you for having a little chit chat about this so I can just get back into the project. I will definitely keep you up to date, and by next week, I for sure will have this totally finished, and I'll need to block this one. That's for sure, because the bottom part, this needs to I need a little bit more structure for this, and I need to kind of block out the corners too. These are gonna, yeah, it's like curling a little bit, and I don't love that. Blocking fixes that very easily. So next week, that is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start writing everything down in my planner already. But let me know what you've been working on this week. And if you did get the Stranger Things Volume 2 box, what is it that you decided to create with this? Otherwise, that's it for this week. So thanks again for hanging out with me here in the Yarn Dungeon, working on some crochet projects inspired by Stranger Things. Have a super spooky rest of your night, and I will see you in my next video.